So, hello student, today we will start the next lecture on collection of solid waste under the module 5, we are in the secondary collection. So, in the previous lecture we discussed about from primary collection we reached to the dustbin area. Now, dustbin to the through the secondary collection, either it will go to the disposal site or it will go to the transfer stations or it will go to the processing center. Okay. So, before starting the exact collection systems, I will just tell the few story about the old India. I think we have different changes in the collection systems, like the vehicles had been changed, different vehicles has been used. So, this is the different types of collection systems. So, the old India before the introduction of collection system, this was simple. The old vehicles normally used to collect the waste, normally we called as a dumper vehicle. These dumper vehicles used to collect the construction material, and those vehicle is unable to collect the that kind of construction material, normally used to use for the solid waste collection. So, this kind of vehicle normally used to use for the waste collection in the older India. So, there was no proper formulation of segregation, segregated, unsegregated. So, entire waste was combined or commingled or mixed waste used to be collect, and see the lot of aesthetic issues was there in the earlier. So, but when see again waste spillages also was another problem when it was transporting from the roads the same vehicle. See here, even rather than vehicle, the tractors used to use for the collection of waste from small cities. So, the utilization, the collection rate was also very low, the quantity was also not that high, waste production. So, we used to use this kind of vehicle. But when the Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission JNREM mission had been launched in 2005. So, around 35 cities got a lot of money or fund for the solid waste management also, and most of the cities also the class 1, class 2 towns, they started the proper collection system, and in that case it specially it was major focus onto the haul containers. Here the idea was that the initially the waste has to be hauled into the vehicle. Now, the major focus was given in this program was haul container, means entire container used to be hauled onto the vehicle. Likewise, this kind of container you see here, here these containers called as a haul containers, where the idea was that, and the primary collection was only the curb collection services. So, the house owner was the responsible to dispose the waste inside the containers, but I think you see this kind of issues was there. Even the local people also, they never used to reach to the dustbins. So, they used to dispose nearby, and again the along with the vehicle, lot of manpower used to be come, and they used to be filled these containers with the waste, and then after that these container used to be hauled by the vehicle to the disposal sites. You see here, the idea was that to having such kind of haul container system, because waste production, waste generation had been used, and some of the location was the quantity was very high. So, in that case this kind of haul container system was very beneficial, but there was no segregation of the waste in these kind of collection systems. See here, you can see here there are two dustbins has to be hauled together, and hauling system also was very easy of these containers. Only the problem was that in that case the local people, they never used to dispose the waste inside the container, because entire waste was the mixed waste, commingled waste, and you see that the biological waste was the large quantity, around 50 to 60%, because of the lot of odor issues and spillage issue used to be come up in those days. See here, 2 dustbin container vehicles also had been used to increase the collection efficiency. And along with that, some cities they did not start the hall container system, they were with the stationary containers only. So, in that case only the waste used to be emptied into the vehicle. So, mechanization had been started, because the time required for to loading the vehicle was very longer period used to be, and these kind of vehicle used to be onto the road, and because of that lot of traffic issues used to come. So, the mechanization has been started for the stationary containers also, and you see here how these dustbins had been loaded into the vehicle. You see here the mechanization system had been start. Now, after Swachh Bharat mission, this same stationary container system had been changed into the compactor vehicles. You see here some of the photographs, you can see these vehicles, because earlier the vehicle volume was very small, and the vehicle used to be collect only 1 ton, maximum 2 tons of waste in a trip, and it was very costly process to hauling the waste or the container simply without any compaction, because the 40% still is a dry matter, and if you compact that dry matter, obviously the minimum of 20% volume will get reduced. So, the combined waste, the mixed waste had been compacted, but that was also not very beneficial, this compaction. So, normally this compactor vehicle can have the volume of maybe 7 ton, 10 tons of waste normally used to haul in every trip. So, you see here the compactor vehicles, but problem was this compactor vehicle was, because it was unsegregated material was getting compacted. So, obviously, when this 40 to 50% or up to 60% biological matter will get compact, obviously, there will be a lot of moisture will come out in that case, and this leachate, whatever the spillage or leachate was coming out from the after compaction of this waste, this was highly corrosive. The pH is normally acidic, 3 to 4 pH, and because of that lot of these compactor vehicle got damaged because of corrosion. So, but now if you go the same kind of vehicle, if they are using for the segregated material, and these compactor vehicles are highly beneficial for the only dry matter. If dry matter is getting segregated, and this dry matter if you collect with the compactor vehicle, that will be highly beneficial, because the dry matter like paper, plastic, rubber, leather, metal, glass, this could be a compact together and could be hauled, and in a single trip is possible to haul 7 to 8 ton or up to 10 tons of waste in the single trip. But the biological waste if you use for the compaction, that will never beneficial. So, that was the thought under Swachh Bharat mission. The segregation is one of the most important factor, not only for the treatment process or disposal of entire waste, but also for the collection was very important, the segregation of waste. Now, we will go for different collection system, secondary collection system. So, secondary collection is the collection of waste from the communal bin in the curb areas, or from any storage point from the apartment, or from the transfer station to the final disposal site. So, the first collection system is hall container system, that is HCS. So, these are collection system in which containers used for the storage of waste are hauled. Here the containers are hauled to a material recovery facility or MRF stations, transfer station or disposal site, emptied and returned to the either their original location or some other location. So, what is haul container system? The containers are getting hauled which is full of waste is hauled to the either disposal site or any transfer station or any treatment facility, and also return to the either in the same location or any alternate location. That was the haul container system, and ideally this haul container system were highly useful for the where rate of generation or waste generation is very high. Because when you go for stationary container system, in such cases where waste generation was very high, you will be required number of manpowers more. Also the time requirement for hauling of that waste also was very large. So, this is one example I am giving how the haul container system will work. Suppose you see here the locations. So, I put it one location, second location, third. Likewise, there is a nth locations of dustbins or containers inside city. So, city could have 300 locations, 400 different dustbin locations, and there will be a one finally where the entire waste or these containers are getting transport to the either transfer station, MRF or disposal site, and somewhere in the early morning the beginning of daily route will get start for each vehicle. So, suppose now the vehicle will start from their location, first location, it will go to the first location. Now, container is full of waste, this will pick up the loaded container in first location and it will haul to the disposal site or treatment facility. So, that is a full container is getting hauled to the disposal site, and again once it is getting emptied at the disposal site or treatment facility, again it will go to the same location. The empty containers or dustbin will get hauled to the same location and it will deposit the empty container. Okay. Now, similarly it will go to the next location, drive to the next container location. Now, vehicle do not have empty container. So, it will take one full container, it will get transport to the disposal site or treatment facility, again it will come back to redeposit the empty container. Similarly, it will go to the next locations, similarly to the nth location, and finally it will end of their daily route. Normally, this the total time is available, that is 8 hours in a day. So, likewise is a haul container system where the vehicle is visiting different locations. You see here in this case there are lot of hauling, lot of haul for one location, there will be a 2 times it has to be hauled from the location container location to the disposal site. Similarly, for each location 2 times likewise. So, it was very costly method. I will just give once I will compare the haul container and stationary container, then I will explain. Now, suppose the vehicle have one empty container. So, before starting from their beginning location, they will have one empty container. So, what the vehicle will do? That will go to the first container location, it will deposit the empty container and the full container will get hauled to the disposal site or recycling facility. Now, the vehicle, in this case the vehicle will have one empty container. Now, it will go to the next location, it will deposit the empty container and full container will get loaded, and that will go to the disposal site or recycling facility. Similarly, now here again the vehicle will have one empty container with the vehicle, it will go to the next location and again it will come back with the full container. Similarly, it will go to the nth location and finally, again the vehicle will have one empty container and it will finish their daily route. So, now here you just compare the both alternatives. Here you see that in this case when the vehicle will have one empty container along with the vehicle, need not to travel from the one location to the next location. This was been a, this is no requirement of this transportation from one location to the another location. So, here it is possible that entire this hauling could be planned in on highways or bigger roads. So, that the traffic issues and the time requirement to reach to the disposal site or treatment facility do not require more. Now, there are different kind of collection vehicles used to be used for the haul container system. There are three main types of vehicle. First is the hoist truck. You see in the photograph of the hoist truck, with the advent of large capacity mechanically loaded collection vehicle, this system application limited to like this was considerable amount of waste are generated in that locations. Different size of containers we can finalize in this vehicle. Like for the collection of bulky items or industrial rubbish such as scrap metal are not suitable for the collection with the compaction vehicle. So, in that case hoist truck is more beneficial of hauling of large size material, bulky materials, also beneficial for more waste. Wherever the waste generation is more, this kind of vehicles was highly beneficial. See here another hoist truck collecting construction debris. Now, this another vehicle that is called as tilt frame container. Now, in this case the entire the back frame is getting tilted. Unloading is very easy from this kind of vehicle. So, ideally suited for all type of solid waste rubbish where the generation rate warrants the use of large container. So, wherever the waste generation is very large, you can have this big size of container, and the idea is that the benefit of this kind of vehicle, it has a tilt frame. So, once it will reach to the disposal site or recycling facility, unloading is very easy of because of having tilt frame. Usually this used in the apartment complex, commercial services or transport station where different kind of waste is reaching and the quantity is also very large. So, you see here tilt frame. So, almost 80-degree angle used to be come up with this kind of container facility. Now, next is the truck tractor trash trailer. Now, here the one special trailer in this vehicle, one special trailer is available. So, that is specially used for the heavy rubbish, large size material, the sand, timber, the metal scrap, specially for collection of inert material, and this inert material will have soil, sand or even construction and demolition waste also could be easily transported from this kind of vehicle. Now, what are the advantage of haul container system? So, as I was telling that when generation rate is high, these kind of collection system are highly beneficial where generation rates are high. So, it is possible that the entire city, if you are planning for depositing the dustbins, you know that wherever the waste generation is high, especially from the commercial area or market area, wherever vegetable markets are there or other markets are available, in those locations we can plan to have haul container system, and we can have the bigger size of containers. These containers could be hauled onto the vehicle very easily. Next is the use of large container eliminate handling time as well as unsighting accumulation and unsanitary conditions associated with the use of numerous smaller container. The advantage of these kind of haul container systems is also that suppose if you are going for stationary container locations. So, obviously, you can't use it the bigger size containers. So, you will have number of locations and these locations used to be very nearby. So, obviously, that will not be much beneficial, because now here in the hall container system, the containers are getting mechanically, but in the stationary container system there also the mechanization we can do, but because of small size of waste, a small quantity of waste, lot of unsanitary conditions could be possible in that cases. Now, is another advantage is a flexibility. This flexibility is a location flexibility. Now, see here, when you go for stationary container locations, some I think the way we are putting the containers in those locations, that is almost permanent locations, and if you are putting containers and if you are constructing some kind of constructed area, that location changing is very difficult. Or is not possible to change the location, but now we are here in the hall container system, we are using the large size of containers, that locations we can easily locations is flexible, so easily change the location. So, based on the experience of the local authority, time to time they can change the locations if they have the hall container system. Suppose somewhere you are getting the large quantity and the quantity more than the volume available in the container, and somewhere you are getting you are not getting that kind of waste volume in another location. So, obviously, you can change the locations in such a way that all the locations the good amount of volume are reaching to fill that particular containers. So, this is another advantage, and also the another advantage is only one truck and one driver. You do not require more manpower, that is one, because it is a mechanized system. So, only the driver itself, they can connect the containers to the vehicle and can easily unload onto the vehicle. So, we do not require much manpower in this case, but if you compare with the stationary container system, lot of manpower is required even if you go for mechanized loading of the waste. And only one disadvantage is that low utilization rate, and this is what the major issue with the hall container system, because how corporation is finalizing these locations based on their experiences, experiences from last 5 years or 10 years. So, wherever they know that the waste generation is more, or wherever the population is very large, or wherever the commercial areas are available, they thought of that to find some locations nearby. But many places it is possible that they have the hall container facility, but I think those containers is not getting filled up properly. So, suppose I think I am just making one container here, so that you can understand. So, suppose this is one container is available in one of the location, and the vehicle is coming by around 7 early in the morning to pick up this container, and suppose this container is filled only half with the waste, and the waste is having biological matters. So, still the vehicle has to be collect this container. So, your utilization rate is only 50%, because remaining container is not filled up. So, obviously, it will result low utilization rate. If you want to increase the utilization rate, you need to find out the proper locations, and this is very difficult to find for the local authorities also, because nobody wants these kind of dustbins near to their house, near to their locality, especially for schools, colleges, or some civil areas, hospitals nearby you is very difficult to find some location. So, obviously, the dustbin locations will be far away somewhere, and if you are providing for curb collection services, people do not want to go more than 200 meter, 300 meter to deposit the waste. So, there in that case is possible that lot of new waste storage will find in the local areas. A lot of spillage issues will come up in that case. Now, the next is the stationary container system. We see that the benefits of the hall container system. Now, we will go for the stationary container system. In the stationary container system, the container used for the storage of waste remain at the point of generation, except when they are moved to the curb or other location to be emptied. This system may vary according to the type and quantity of waste to be handled, as well as the number of generation points. So, here I think I can say the one of the benefit of that, we need not to think about the size of the vehicle and the size of the container, because it is a stationary one. So, whatever the size or whatever amount of waste is available, based on that we can finalize the vehicle also, based on we can finalize the containers also. Normally, we will have the two main type of collection system. One is a manually loaded, where the loading of waste is manually, and other is the mechanically loaded, which I had shown in the compactor vehicles, the mechanization in the for the waste collection system. The major application of manual loading collection vehicle is the collection of residential source separated and commingled waste and litter. So, the benefit of, I think I can say, is one of the benefit of manual loading collection system. It is possible that if the waste is segregated with the dry waste and wet waste, now this dry waste and wet waste has to be manually, if they are loading, is very beneficial, because the segregated material itself we can load it into the vehicle in the segregated way, but mechanically it will be a very difficult this segregated waste to load it into the vehicle. So, the manual loading is used in the residential areas, where the quantity picked up at each location is small and the loading time is short. So, the small quantity of waste is generated, there need not to have the hall container system. Small residential area where the quantity waste generation is low. So, obviously, you will be required small and the loading time will be required. Now, the another example for this stationary container system, the similar way we have another type of container location and one disposal site or transfer stations available. Now, the vehicle will start the daily route. It will go to the first location and will load content from the container at pickup location into the collection vehicle, okay, because here container is not getting loaded, here the waste is getting loaded either manually or mechanically, and the dustbin will be empty in this first location. It will go to the next pickup location. Again it will do the same thing, it will empty the entire waste and will load it into the vehicle. It will go to the next location. Similarly, it will go to the nth location, or whatever wherever location where the vehicle got full completely, and it will go to the, after that it will go to the, to finally emptied, the entire waste will get hauled to the disposal site or recycling facility. And suppose that again the time permits, it will start the next route, or if the time will get over, from this it will go to the same dispatch center of that particular vehicle. So, it is a drive empty collection vehicle to the beginning of new or next collection route or return to the dispatch station, that is end of route. So, this is collection route for the particular vehicle. So, you will see here the side loaded, here loading is a side loading. So, these containers are getting unloaded into the vehicle is a mixed waste, even segregated waste also we can have two different locations where dry waste, wet waste we can segregatedly we can load it into the vehicle. This is a rear loading, the back side loading. Here is a manual loading or mixed waste from the rearly loaded collection vehicle, and it is having the compaction facility. The waste is getting compacted. Here another is a mechanically loaded. Earlier was the manually loaded facility. Now here rear loaded mechanically loaded loading facility. Here mechanical loading facilities. Here side loading facility mechanically. Here in one of the photograph from India, Haryana. Now, what are the advantages? Advantage of this stationary container system: the vehicle does not travel to the disposal area until it is full, resulting in higher utilization rate. That was one of the disadvantage of the hall container system, but here that is the major advantage of this kind of collection system. The vehicle does not travel to the disposal site until it is full, means your hauling cost is very low in this stationary container system. So, because of that only India still most of the city in India they are having the stationary container system, because hauling is not that much. Because of that it is a more economical compared to the hall container system. But there are a lot of disadvantage which I already talked about, some spillage of the waste. So, it is not suited for heavy industrial waste and bulk rubbish that could damage the vehicle. Even compactor vehicles also we cannot use for the industrial or bulky rubbish or especially construction and demolition waste. In that case need to have the hall container system. Next is the difficult to service in the location where high volume of rubbish are produced. This stationary container is beneficial for the small quantity, small residential area is possible, where time of collection also is not that high. And in manual system the manpower required is more. Obviously, when you go for manually that is beneficial for the segregated waste collection, but manpower requirement is more in this case. And special attention should be given to the design of collection vehicle for the use of single collector drive. So, if you go for mechanically collection system, mechanized one need to have the proper driver, proper manpower for such purposes. Now, here one more comparison from containers available for use with various collection system. So, here I gave it the different vehicle. This is 3 are for the hall container system, these 3, and these are 2 for stationary container system. So, here see the capacity, here especially the tilt frame, the capacity is very large, and if you see the stationary container system in the both the cases, whether you go for manually loaded or mechanically loaded, both the cases the capacity is less. Even if you go for truck tractor, here also you can feed more quantity for capacity vehicle. So, there will be always discussion whether when to go for hall container system, when to go for stationary container system. The basic explanation of both the container systems are both are highly beneficial. The major idea is that when the waste generation is very large and the bulky items, construction demolition waste, for that in that case go for hall container system, and such residential areas where waste generation is low, and you can have the manual or mechanical, both facilities could be possible, somewhere could be manual also could be possible, and quantity is less basically. In that case you can use the stationary container system. This is the simple way we can finalize, and one city could have both the collection systems. Is not that entire city will have the hall container system. Actually what has happened in JNREM program 2005-2006, when these 35 cities got good amount of fund, they started the hall container system for entire city, and they never thought of the utilization rate. Some of the location they were very happy because their large amount of waste is getting generated, but the most of the locations where waste generation was low, there unnecessary they were hauling that entire container to the disposal site. That distance used to be a 15 kilometer, 20 kilometer. So, large amount of fuel cost used to be added into the while collection of such kind of containers, empty or not fully filled containers. So, it is possible that to some locations we can have hall container system, some locations could have stationary container system. Okay. And next lecture also we will go for some examples I will give. Based on that we can finalize, and especially for hall distance, comparing to the hall distance means from the location to the disposal site or recycling facility, that is hall distance. Based on that, how best we can finalize the benefits of hall container system or stationary container system, that will go into the next few lectures. Thank you.